I'm not at home on crowded streets. They don't appeal to me. In the heart of God's cathedral is where I want to be. So I take the outside circle when the stars are growing dim. See the morning light play shadows all along the canyon rim. I feel the prairie wake and flush a dozen bobwhite quail as I guide my favorite cow horse down a rough and rocky trail. I ride through mountain country, gaze across the great divide as I trail majestic mustangs that no man will ever ride. A red-tailed hawk is screaming as he searches for his prey. The cottonwoods are yellow on this crisp November day. I crave the open spaces where the sky is blue and wide. Somewhere west of Wall Street is where my heart and soul reside. Thanks for riding along with us as we explore another trail somewhere west of Wall Street. Today we're on the edge of the beautiful Palo Duro Canyon in the Panhandle of Texas. And beside me is a gentleman who is the newest member of the Cowboy Artists of America and one of America's great artists. When I come back, I'll tell you all about him. Somewhere West of Wall Street is brought to you by our friends at the National Ranching Heritage Center, located on the campus of Texas Tech University at Lubbock, Texas, by Railhead Realty for homes and ranches in North Texas, by the Texas Department of Agriculture and their Go Texan program, by the American Quarter Horse Association, registering America's favorite horse for over 75 years, by American Hats, proud to be an American and proud to wear an American hat, by the Caesar Kleberg Wildlife Research Institute, conserving wild things in wild places. The National Ranching Heritage Center on the campus of Texas Tech University tells the story of ranching in the American West. Those stories began in countless cabins and dugouts and evolved to cattle-bearing mansions like the Barton House. Originally built as a centerpiece of a ranching and farming community in West Texas, it now stands as a tribute to another era at the National Ranching Heritage Center. As a viewer of my show, I know you believe in preserving our wonderful ranching heritage, and I would like to personally invite you to come to the one place in the world where you can walk through the history of ranching from the Spanish land grants to modern times. You can also help preserve our history by joining me as a member of the Ranching Heritage Association by visiting ranchingheritage.org. Come experience real ranching, real stories, real heritage at the National Ranching Heritage Center in Lubbock, Texas. I'm so proud to introduce you folks to a longtime dear friend of mine, Jack Sorenson. And as I said earlier, Jack is the newest member of the Cowboy Artists of America and is highly acclaimed all over the Western world for his art. And Jack, you grew up in the canyon.
I did. I feel very blessed. I spent my whole childhood down here. My mom used to always tell a story that I'd take my horse and gun and come down here and camp by myself when I was 8 and 9 years old. Nowadays, I'd probably get in trouble if one of my grandkids did that. But, I never was afraid. I don't know why. Maybe I was too dumb. But I'd see eyes sometimes at night, and I never knew what they were. But I had my rifle, though.
Jack, growing up here, did you hunt arrowheads and fossils and those kind of things?
Absolutely. I'm the worst arrowhead hunter on the face of the earth. We would have riders run horses down here and only be gone an hour and come back with an arrowhead. And I found one in my whole life. I did find a lot of petrified wood and petrified bones and stuff like that. A lot of Indian artifact signs. We're actually near Indian burial grounds here, and we found parts of 11 different Indians. We gave them all to the museum in Canyon. And one of them was apparently a chief because he had a bird bone breastplate, had several long points with him, and they weren't Comanches. I thought that's what it was when we first found them, because this was Comanches, stronghold, but they were Pueblo Indians from 1,000 years ago. And so we found them totally by accident. We were cleaning out some caves because we thought the horses would rest if the dudes were going through the caves. And so we got about 40 feet back in one cave and found a man-made wall, and it was obvious man-made. And so we called Jack Hughes at the museum. He came down. He said, "Yeah, this is the burial grounds." And so he had college kids come, and they used those sifters and all that stuff. And it was amazing. I was just a little bitty guy, probably 6 or 7 when they did that.
But you never forgot it.
How can you live here and not think of this stuff, Red? Like I was telling you before, it means so much to me to stand here and look out over that canyon. And 150 years is not that long ago. And this was where the Comanche and Kiowas were.
When you led people down into the canyon horseback, what are some things you remembered about their reaction to seeing the canyon and realizing where they were?
Well, people think that mules are so sure-footed. We only had one mule on the rent line. And so people would always request that mule. She was the clumsiest animal we had. About every third step, she'd stumble. So I'll tell you a funny story about her, though. Her name was Sugar Babe. And one day, my dad and I are in the barn, there, 6-gun, and I see on the horizon Sugar Babe loping in fast. And I could see the dude's head going up and down, and I thought, this is not going to turn out pretty. And the front of our barn had huge doors, 12 feet tall, and so you could ride in and out, but the back door was just a regular sized door. Well, Sugar Babe run in there, and the dude's holding on as best he can, but she goes through that back door, and just like a cartoon, he just hit and slid down. I thought to myself, we're going to be sued and everything else. My dad, who never got excited about anything, looked over it and he said, as calm as anything, that door's not for riding through, it's just for leading the horses in and out. But that mule, I don't know what got into that day.
My experiences with mules has been that you never know what they're thinking.
No, when I drove the stagecoach, we had mules pulling it, and the stage road was right behind us. And I never had any kind of accident. I think we fired guns off and did a mock robbery and never got a rise out of them. I don't think there's anything you could have done to get those mules to be unsafe. And when I'll tell you how close the teams get, and you probably know this, but we had the same team of mules for like 18 years. And when one of them died, the other one died within a week. And they were just that close. I'll tell you a funny story about when we did the mock robbery. It lasted about 1 minute, and it was just around the curve up here. And one day we're short-handed. There wasn't anybody to rob the stagecoach. So we get to that point, and the mule stopped, like always. And I can hear people inside saying, why are we stopped? And sure enough, about the time the robbery would have been over, they took off again. So you get them in a habit of doing something, and they're very reliable.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, I want you to tell us about how you got started being an artist.
I'd love to.
There had to be something inside you that wanted to tell somebody else what you were seeing.
Sure.
You folks stay with us. We'll be right back. For quite some time, you've heard me talk about Railhead Realty, and we've shown you some exciting ranches for sale in North Texas. Well, let me introduce you to Jim Martin and his business partner, Ron Hughes. Their professional staff is eager to show you beautiful homes, hundreds of exclusively listed home sites, and unbelievable commercial and retail opportunities in Parker County, Texas. Fort Worth is rapidly moving our way, and we're ready. We have access to sporting activities like golf and water sports. We're close to professional sport facilities, and Parker County is the cutting horse capital of the world. Our schools are some of the most highly accredited in the state. Make Parker County your home and your business location. Give Jim and Ron a call or look them up on their website, railheadrealty.com. Their phone number is 817-441-2255. Parker County is one of the greatest places in the state of Texas to worship, work, and play. Come live with us. We're ready to welcome you to our community. Jack, how did you first discover that you had the ability to draw things?
I could always draw red. My mom used to love to tell this story. I would put our dog up on the couch and start sketching, and if she jumped down before I was done, I'd slam my tablet down on the floor. And I said, Mom, I don't remember that. How old was I? And she said 3. And my dad was training cutting horses, so I got to where I could draw a likeness of just about any horse. Every horse, they're like people. Everyone's different, hold their head different, ears are different. And so I would draw the horses he was training for people. And I was a little bitty guy, and they would always buy my sketches. My dad couldn't figure it out, but guys love their horse as much as their wife and kids. And so they wanted that
That's
horse.
true. And also, you have an understanding of how the animal moves.
I do. I do. I study them. I can sit out in a pasture with mares and foals and just do nothing but sketch all day. I love it. It's one of my favorite things to do. Gene, I'm married to a saint because we'll be traveling and I'll see a group of horses beside the road and I'll pull my paints out, and she knows she's going to be there for an hour and a half. But she does it. But to answer your question, how I knew, I always knew I wanted to be an artist. And my dad and I were at a horse sale in Clovis, and we stopped for lunch, and we were sitting at a table at the cafe there, and right above our table was a Tom Ryan calendar. And I was maybe 10 or 11. I told my dad, I said, that's what I want to do right there. Well, I didn't get a good reception. If you asked my dad the day he died what my talent was, he would have said messing with horses. But I always did have that in the back of my mind. That's what I wanted to do. When Gene and I first started dating, I was still breaking horses. And I was very blessed to have a lot of horses to break. I ended up breaking 96 in a little over 5 years.
My goodness.
And I'd have to shoe them, everything, because I couldn't take them in the canyon until I shot them. So I would, first day, a lot of these horses never had a rope on them, mostly 3-year-olds, and they would dump them off the trailer, and I would slicker them the first day and put a saddle on them. I had 2 tires that I'd string across there and get them where they was used to me. But my gift always was I could calm down a horse. And even a lot of horses would just tremble, you know, when you're training them, and I could always get one to calm down. But at the second day, I'd have to throw them to shoe some of them. I didn't have to throw all of them, but you're trying to earn a horse's trust, and throwing them to shoe them is not the best way to do that. But I didn't have a choice because they weren't my horses, and I didn't want them to tear their feet out.
Sure. So when you first started concentrating on your art, what medium was it?
Charcoal. I love charcoal. Was the first thing I did a lot of, and then oil painting came a little bit later. When Gene and I first married, we lived in the tack room of the barn, actually at Six Gun City, and I know most people hadn't lived in a barn, but I would train horses during the day, and then I'd try to paint at night. Well, one day I'd get thrown 9 different times by different horses, and not on a plowed arena. You see what it looks like. But I was so sore I couldn't lift my right arm. I was holding it like this, and my wife saw me, and she said, no more colts. We're done. You're a full-time artist now. So,
Good for Jeannie.
yeah. And she saved me a lot of pain now, probably. Horse breakers tend to walk a certain way, you know.
Now, something that I've heard artists say before, you've got to have some movement. You've got to tell a story in your art.
Absolutely.
And
true.
you have, if you're going to portray a horse moving, you have to know what it really is.
Gene will tell you that when I do action paintings, all the time I'm watching Gunsmoke or whatever it is, I'm drawing. And I will play with those action horses bumping into each other and stuff. And I think that's my gift as an artist that kind of separates me from some of the other guys, that I do enjoy playing with those drawings so much. But Gene will come in and she'll say, are you still working on that one? You're done. Start painting. But I can show you up in my studio. There's dozens and dozens of sketch pads that are nothing but horses in different positions. And on the rent line, my dad would try to buy every different color horse, because you never know what the people wanted. And so I always had access to, I'd be out there in the horse pen just trying to match the colors of the buckskin, or the bay roans always was my favorite color to paint. And I really enjoyed doing that. I always read, I'm almost 70, and I still get a kick out of every painting. I just do. I feel like the most blessed man on earth to get to do this.
What a wonderful feeling.
It's unreal. I was telling somebody the other day, after I made it to the CA finally, all my dreams have come true. And however much time I got left, I just keep adding to the library of work.
Amen. And keep
Amen.
doing it as long as you can.
Absolutely.
You folks stay with us. We'll be right back.
The Caesar Kleberg Wildlife Research Institute is one of the finest wildlife research organizations in the world, and it's dedicated to enhancing the conservation and management of Texas wildlife. Their applied research programs study deer, quail, and wildcats. They provide landowners, hunters, wildlife managers, conservationists, and policymakers alike the scientific research necessary to effectively manage wildlife, conserve the resources and open spaces that make Texas the land we treasure.
Howdy, neighbors. This is Commissioner Sid Miller with the Texas Department of Agriculture. Us Texans have been known to brag a little bit. Well, I'm going to do a little bragging of my very own. Since 1999, the Texas Department of Agriculture's Go Texan program has helped market thousands of Texas businesses. They make everything from pickups to salsa, made all right here in the Lone Star State. So why don't you check out GoTexan.org and find some of these great Texas products. And when you're out shopping, look for that famous Go Texan brand. And remember, buy Go Texan.
Now, Jack, before you became a member of the Cowboy Artists of America, how did you market your work?
I was very blessed in this way. I was able to do several covers on magazines. I've done Western Horseman was one of the first ones, and I ended up doing 15 covers for them. And as you know, that's like the Bible for horse people.
Yes, it is.
Everybody sees them. And so I started becoming known for those covers. And before long, the Cattlemen hired me to do a bunch of covers for them. And Leaning Tree Christmas cards, that's been an unbelievable thing. They've licensed over 100 of my paintings for Christmas cards.
My goodness. Now, do you still go out to some of the ranches and get your source material?
Yes, sir. That's one of the cool things about my job. I get to go in just about any ranch I ask. They'll let me go out there and paint their horses. And
well, and you have this canyon as a backdrop. So it just doesn't get any prettier than this, regardless of the time of the year. It's still gorgeous, isn't it?
It is. My favorite time is when a thunderstorm will come in, Red, and you'll see that spot lighting where the sun and shadows kind of fight each other for a while, and then when that thunder starts, it just rumbles off the walls. I could sit out here in the rain all day. Gene will tell you I love everything about it. I designed this house to fit in with the colors of this canyon. And so even when you're inside the house looking out the window, there's not a jump between inside and outside because the colors are all the same.
Uh-huh. Only an artist would know to do that.
Yeah, well, I guess.
Do you get horseback anymore?
Gene and I still love to ride. I have a bad knee, but if I remember to keep it bent when I dismount, I'm okay. But I love to ride. We're horse crazy.
Well, you're a very fortunate man to live where you want to live, to have the best friend in the world in your house that feels the same about you. So your ability to paint what you know and love will make it last forever, Jack, because it's real.
I totally agree with you.
So
being in the CA and getting to see my paintings next to the best of the best, and you don't have any idea how humbling that is to a guy like me. I can't believe I'm there. I really can't. And I felt so sorry for Morton and Bruce all those years pushing me, and I dismiss it by one vote, or you know what I mean? And it took me 16 years, and I felt terrible it took so long, but Martin told me it took him 12 years.
Yeah.
And he's one of the great painters of our generation,
yes,
in my opinion. So it's a tough place to get in, but man, it's life-changing.
Well, you're a part of that group now, and you fit like a hand in a glove.
Well, thank you, Red. I hope so.
I know you do. Thank you so much for spending the time with us.
It's been a great
I'm awful
pleasure.
proud of you, Jack.
Thank you, Red.
You folks stay with us. We'll be right back. Hi, friends. I've been a member of the American Quarter Horse Association for a long, long time. And I can tell you firsthand all about the programs and services that AQHA provides to our industry. Use this code when you join AQHA or renew your membership so that the good folks at AQHA will know that I sent you. Enter it when completing your membership online. If you call in, please give that code to your customer representative. Join me in being a proud member of AQHA.
Hi, my name's Keith Mundy, and I'm the president here at American Hat Company. When I came to work for Keith and Susan Maddox, the owners of American Hat Company, they gave me one goal, and that was to make the finest cowboy hat in the world. We have our bodies specifically blended to American hat specifications, and every step of the way the hat is touched by human hands. Here at American Hat Company, we are proud to be an American, and we're proud to wear an American hat.
Well, as you folks know by now, this is my favorite part of our show, where we pause to give thanks to the one who made all this possible. Our song of inspiration is brought to you by our friends at the American Hat Company. Proud to be an American, proud to wear an American hat. The boys are on the porch of the bunkhouse just waiting on us. Let's join them.
We'd gathered up a herd of longhorns bound for Abilene. A peddler came out to the camp selling notions that we'd need. Among the things he had to sell was a Bible old and worn. Old Goosey said, I'll take it, we'll have church on Sunday morn. We had church at the wagon Sunday morning. We'd gather underneath the wagon fly. Old Goosey would read from the good book, and we'd sing in the sweet by and by. In the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. In the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. I'd see him in the morning as he sat there by the fire, reading from that Bible every now and then he'd smile, waiting on the biscuits, drinking coffee from a can. Sometimes you could hear him softly whisper amen. We had church at the wagon Sunday morning. We'd gather underneath the wagon fly. And old Goosey would read from the good book, and we'd sing in the sweet by and by. In the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. In the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. We finally got to Abilene, the drive had all gone well. We never lost one single man while pushing up the trail. I know the Lord heard Goosey's prayers as he read the holy word. That Sunday morning singing was the best I've ever heard. We had church at the wagon Sunday morning. We'd gather underneath the wagon fly, and old Goosey would read from the good book, and we'd sing in the sweet by and by. In the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. In the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore.
Well, as my old daddy would say, we got this one saucered and blowed. It's time for us to ride on out of here. We got lots of work to do. Thanks for riding along with us. We hope we taught you something about the West, and especially about a Western painter named Jack Sorenson. Before we leave, I want to give you something to think about. Some painters transform the sun into a yellow spot. Others transform a yellow spot into the sun. Pablo Picasso said that. I guess he was right. Be sure you join us on your local radio station this week for Cowboy Corner. And be sure you join us right here next week as we explore another trail somewhere west of Wall Street. Adios, my friends.